Hey guys, how's it going? Mythrone4 here, and today we'll be talking about the new Empyreal Tragicomedy event that recently dropped in Azur Lane. So, Empyreal Tragicomedy is a new large-scale event for Azur Lane, released across all servers at the same time as of the September 11th patch. To summarize the new content, aside from the event maps, we will be getting 7 new ships, retrofit for York, lots of new equipment, several skins, and a new furniture set. And keep in mind, the things that I just summarized are for the EN server, but the ships, the equipment, the skins, and the furniture should be the same for all the other regions, in case you were wondering. So, in terms of the event maps for Empyreal Tragicomedy, we are going to be having the pretty standard 2 worlds with 3 maps each. Along with a hard mode variation, an SP stage that you can clear once a day to get a lot of event points, and an optional EX stage, so you get a total of 14 maps. Just like with most regular, with other large-scale events, Worlds A and B are the easier ones, with the fights being less than level 60. Hard mode maps being up there in the 60 to 90 range, but they yield more event currency. Event rewards this time around come in 3 varieties. They're the standard milestone and event shop rewards, but now there's going to be a new reward for 3-starring all the maps for the event in any difficulty. So, who are the new ships? So, we're going to have a new faction known as the Sardina Empire, who are based on the Italian ships, and as stated previously, there will be 7 new ships. 3 of them are only available in construction. 2 of them are available in the event shop, although they have alternative methods of being acquired. 1 of them will be the milestone rewards, and 1 ship will be part of the 3-star all maps reward. In terms of how the distribution of these ships are going to be. So, without further ado, we're going to start talking about one of my favorite ships to come out of this event, the RN Heavy Cruiser Zara. So Zara's pretty solid because she reminds me a lot of Rune, and I think she's a good alternative to Rune if you haven't started working on her in priority ships yet. So her first skill gives her a chance to deploy 2 shields whenever she takes damage. One will be directly in front of her, and the other one rotates, just like how most other shields tend to work in Azur Lane. This gives you a little bit of defensive utility, because the front shield is able to stop any immediate threats to your front line, while the rotating shield helps kind of chip away at some of the stray shots that might come at you later on. Her second skill amplifies the damage she deals based on what type of main gun she has equipped. If she has an AP main gun, she can amplify the damage that she does with her main gun. But with a high explosive or the super armor piercing gun that's available in this event for heavy cruisers, you get an even higher damage amplification, but you trade out the ignite enemies capacity of the high explosive. Ultimately, I think Zara is a pretty accessible alternative to Rune in terms of how her role plays out in a fleet. You can use her in place of Rune if you don't have Rune. Next up, we have the HMS Carrier Formidable. I think she's one of the strongest solo carriers in the game, rivaling the likes of Enterprise and Essex. So her first skill amplifies her aviation and the damage dealt when she is equipped with her Ferry Albacore torpedo bombers, which are available in this event. The Albacore damage amp is significant because it both increases the efficiency of the plane, and it also has a chance to deploy additional planes whenever she launches an airstrike, and the bonus planes deal flood damage. Her second skill has a chance to reduce the speed of all the enemies to 0 for a certain amount of time whenever she launches an airstrike. 2 big parts of this skill. Firstly, the enemies don't gain all their speed back immediately. They gain it back gradually after the skill's duration is done, which means that after being essentially frozen, they're still super slow. And secondly, she is guaranteed to proc this skill on her first airstrike 100% of the time. Lastly, her third skill reduces the amount of damage that she herself takes, and whenever she launches an airstrike, she reduces the damage taken by the front line, which is kind of an upgrade from her sister Illustrious's skill. Next up, we have the battleship Guilos Azur. Guilo is a pretty unique battleship because she's one of the few with a torpedo stat that actually kind of comes into play. So her first skill is kind of the standard torpedo main gun fires. You get an extra barrage or a chance at firing an extra barrage. But her second skill, so first off, she fires a torpedo barrage 10 seconds into the battle. So this is where and the damage is based off of her torpedo stat. Then, 5 seconds after she fires her main gun, she then increases her main gun damage and the damage dealt to enemy light cruisers. And in return, she reduces her torpedo stat to 0 for the rest of the battle. So basically, she has one torpedo barrage, similar to Turpitz, but then she never has a torpedo for the rest of the game, and she all-ins on busting light cruisers. Ultimately, I think she's kind of a better version of the Big 7 in that regard. Because aside from having the barrage, which is comparable to Big 7, you now have an option for clearing out those opening goons with the torpedoes, and then once the new enemies spawn in, and in endgame or in later game worlds, those tend to be light cruisers, so her damage amplify is super significant for that. The big event in the event shop is Latorio, who's another favorite of mine personally in this event. So Zara and Latorio are my two favorites. So her first skill is that it's the standard fire a barrage whenever you fire your main gun. But she gets a bonus where if she's equipped with her special gun, she increases the chance and damage that the barrage has. The gun in question is in the event shop, and it's super solid because it increases the damage dealt by your base volley, so when you do the firing, not the skill. And additionally, after 2 volleys, the third volley that you fire with your gun will have its reload increase and resets the loop, which allows you to kind of clean up mob fights a lot faster in manual play. Her second skill, at the start of a fight, deploys a shield in front of her and in the front of the frontmost frontline ship, and it stops torpedoes, not bullets. And it also increases her fire for the first 3 fights of each sortie. This makes Latorio really good at mob fighting and in the end game, since you'll be able to both stop any stray torpedoes from coming at Latorio, and maybe if you accidentally run into a torpedo, as well as during the first few fights, which are often before the boss fight, you can help clear those faster. The other smaller event, unfortunately, Comte de Cavour, she's kind of a bad battleship in terms of what she does. She essentially has the second skill of Guilo, the sacrifice, throw out a torpedo barrage, and then when you fire your main gun, you get your damage bonus to light cruisers. The reason why it's not that good on Kant is because she doesn't have a very easy way of dealing with the opening goons, so you're still going to have to deal with those opening destroyers or torpedo ships at the start of the fight by the time her skill procs. Next up, the event milestone, point milestone reward, the destroyer Carabinier. She kind of follows that trend of milestone ships not being particularly strong, so because her first skill increases her torpedo damage for her first 3 torpedo launches, which is pretty bad in the event that you whiff or if the fight doesn't end by 3 torpedo strikes. And her second skill increases her and the other, so if you see a line of the 3 frontliners, she has to be in the leftmost slot, and she increases her and the rightmost slot's damage output, which is kind of underwhelming in my opinion. Lastly, there's the 3-star reward, the Heavy Cruiser Trento, who's pretty simple. She just increases her firepower uh, every few seconds. But I like this idea of how to complete events and getting rewards for it. Hopefully, Trento is a good sign that more rewards like this, like 3-starring ships, or 3-starring all maps of a certain difficulty, will give you a reward. I hope that type of reward sticks around in the future large-scale events, because it helps the newcomers and it makes it so that people are more motivated to try and clear it faster. Aside from the ships, there's the gun needed for Latorio skill, the plane needed for formidable skill in the event shop. There's general blueprints for your priority ships. There's the icon border, which you get for breaking the event ships, which is basically nice swag. And lastly, there are free cat boxes, or there are cat boxes available in the event store, but ultimately there aren't too many that are prioritized aside from the gun and the plane. Like the blueprints, well, outside of ships, of course. The blueprints would be your main goal at that point. Overall, the first large scale event since the first anniversary of the EN server is a pretty solid event. The maps all have really solid drops. Most of the ships are pretty good additions to the fleet, and the equipment give us nice little options. And I really like that this is an event dedicated to introducing a whole new faction to Azur Lane. Hopefully this is a gateway to bring in more factions. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this type of content, please like, comment, and subscribe for more.